we have breaking news out of Ukraine. NBC News can confirm that a cyber attack has hit multiple Ukrainian government websites right now, including kicking them offline. Joining us now, Juan Zarate. He's Deputy National Security Advisor to President George W. Bush, currently an MSNBC Senior National Security Analyst. Juan, good to see you. So it looks as though, among other places that have been attacked, cyber attack, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Cabinet of Ministers, and the Parliament. What kind of cyber attack could that be?
Well, Jose, this is on par with what the Russians have done in the past against Ukrainian ministries, banks, and institutions. We've anticipated this. The Ukrainians have been expecting it. They've been warning of these kinds of attacks. And just last week, of course, a bank and the defense ministry were hit. And so this is expected from the Russians to hit the ministries and particular institutions. And what this seems to be, based on the reporting we're getting, is a denial of service attack, trying to take down the systems and to take them offline. We don't have more details. Of course, cyber attacks have scale to them. They can be anything from a denial of service to take a website down, to actual infiltration to steal or lock down data, or then in the extreme to actually destroy systems and destroy data. We know the Russians have that capability. They have the ability to scale, and we know that they have gotten into systems, as we saw just a couple of years ago with the SolarWinds attack around the world. And so the Russians are among the most sophisticated actors in the space. We know they apply hybrid warfare attacks. We know this involves cyber attacks, and we know that their first set of targets were going to be Ukrainian targets, with then questions as to whether or not they go beyond that to attack European or even American institutions and sites.
And Juan, I'm just wondering, how prepared can the United States be to protect from cyber attacks when, you know, there are a lot of private enterprise, private corporations throughout our country that are in charge of the electric infrastructure grid, of power, of gas, natural gas, etc. In other words, how possible is it that we could be seeing something like that hit us?
Well, so you put your finger right on the major vulnerability that the U.S. has. Over 80% of cyber infrastructure is in the private sector's hands. We saw that recently with the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack that took down that essential pipeline. And so what has happened over the course of many years is an attempt by the U.S. government to work with the critical infrastructure sectors, energy, water, banking, finance, to make sure that those systems are as hardened and redundant as possible. But it relies very heavily, as you say, on the private sector. And so we've seen the FBI, DHS, parts of the U.S. government warning the private sector in recent weeks to be prepared, to defend themselves, to ensure that their cyber hygiene is higher, to make sure awareness is there, that the Russians and proxies for the Russians may be using cyber attacks to influence in the context of a geopolitical contest that seems far away but can be very present in the context of cyber attacks.
Russian proxies